Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have got a Taylor T5z Pro that I want to demonstrate for you, and I think that it's a wonderful guitar. It's a kind of a compact acoustic guitar. It's also an electric guitar, and generally I just use it to play in the acoustic style. I don't normally plug in most of my guitars into an amp at this point in time. Because although this is a Taylor T5z Pro, I am a non-pro. I'm just a regular person who likes to write poems that talk about how I'm doing at some points in time. And normally I do that to share that with my friends and family. As time has gone by, based on some of the circumstances around us, I start finding that I have maybe less friends and family than I thought I did. And at the same time, courtesy of channels, applications like this, I'm able to connect with people that have similar compassion, you know, because most people who want to smile and share experiences with one another will go out of their way to do that in a meaningful way. And not to overlook some of the circumstances of the world and all that, but in my own personal family, in my own personal friendships, in my own personal relationships, I've found that people who don't really answer questions that you ask to them, who only will ask you questions and expect answers from you, and who never will answer the questions that you ask to them, are sometimes beyond selfish. It's not even selfish, it's just kind of like indifferent. So this song is called Thank You. I haven't played it in a while, and I hope I get the words right. So let's give it a try and see what happens. Like to thank you for the time we spent. Like to let you know how much it meant. Time goes by and I don't understand, and all I wanna do is hold your hand. Think of you and then I think again. Hope you'll always choose to be my friend. Here I go down my familiar path. I alone will stand to face the wrath. Like to thank you for the time we spent. Like to let you know how much it meant. I'd like to thank you for the time back then. Hope you'll always choose to be my friend. That alone defines just who we are. There's no distance that can grow too far. like to tell you just this one last time. Word goodbye is just too hard to rhyme. So there you have it. That performance of Thank You, an older song of mine, was presented to you by a non-pro on this Taylor T5z Pro. This is in Gaslamp black. I really wanted this guitar ever since I saw it because this particular guitar, this one specifically, had a different colored headstock from the body. And I really dig those little variations. The back is just all black, as you can see. I really like little variations like the different colored headstock, as you can see in this clip. So on this channel, I like to blend a lot of different ways to talk about certain things. Some of you have messaged me in the past saying that maybe I need to not sing if I'm demonstrating a guitar. And that's fine. I can play, a few chords. In fact, in the song itself, you heard a few chords. It's a really nice guitar. The action is low, and there's not really a whole lot of, if any, fret buzz, no matter where I play on this fingerboard. I've customized mine. I've got a unique inlay on the guitar. Let's see if I can get it to show up. It says US385, and US385, for those of you who don't know, is the highway that goes, well, it goes across the nation, but its termination point is at, in my opinion, one of the most amazing places on earth, the Big Bend National Park. The Big Bend National Park, like many other areas, has been recently challenged with a lot of environmental woes, and some of those environmental woes aren't necessarily, like, for an example, the climate or the rainfall. Some of those environmental woes have to do with the plastics that we're leaving in our ecosystem.
I try to make it to places where the typical traveler isn't going to explore. I do that for the purpose of spotting animals in whatever condition they're in, but more and more frequently, this is the kind of stuff that I'm finding. Not sure if you could see in the video, but parts of the balloon were starting to fall off. More and more microplastics being introduced to our environments. And at what cost?
The things we leave in our ecosystems can cause a permanent lasting scar. And so there are some circumstances, just for an example, in my family, my parents continue to go to my grandparents' gravesite and spray poison all over the gravesite. And those poisons they buy, at your typical big box store, things that some generations don't necessarily want to support going forward. And the reason that we have such a generational divide when it comes to communicating about some of these things is, I think, because we're not able to put these concepts into words in a way that resonates with one another's heartstrings. This is basically a song talking to former relationships, and almost anyone can associate with that because we've all had friends or family along the way who are no longer there for whatever reason. There could be a number of circumstances ranging from temporary to permanent. And as we, again, continue to make choices that can permanently affect the climate of our relations, these are things that resonate in a certain way. And I believe that there are forces of good or positive, and there are forces of evil or negativity. And those forces are basically, it's like the opposite of a fault line where things are pushing together. It's a rift where things are pulling apart. And it feels more and more, especially in today's day, like we are being challenged so that we can figure out which group do we belong with. There's a singer out there named Jesse Wells, and he has some amazing songs, and they talk about some of the most controversial topics. One of the songs is called Slaves. One of them is called Trump Trailers. And all of the songs, they're written in a way where if you listen to them, you know, he's telling the truth. And the truth is something that can resonate with everyone, especially if you want to be involved in the truth. If you can't possibly align with the truth, if your lifestyle is so negative that you heard something from one of those songs, or even this song where you're just like, you're angry, or you heard something that someone said and you're angry, well, that anger is going to come through in how you treat one another. And how you treat one another sometimes is different behind closed doors. And so this particular song has a lot to do with saying goodbye to the bullies in my life. And it's written in a way where, again, I say at the end, I hope you'll always choose to be my friend, because that alone determines who we are. And as long as we remain friends, there's no distance that can grow too far. So what that means is that basically, if we're friends, we're going to work through something. If we're family by definition, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're friends. That might just mean that, you know, we're in a circumstance. And as many people in the world know, some of us aren't born into the families where we feel like we should be. But if you continue to work towards bringing order to the space around you, and occasionally, you know, suggest that insight to whoever wants to hear it, then you might find that you end up separating yourself from the rest of the pack anyway. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you're having a great day. We're a few days into Lent right now. Many people don't like hearing the word Lent. Many people, when they hear Easter, they only think about chocolate rabbits, and they don't really even talk about the topics that they are associated with. Last year, around this time, believe it or not, in my Easter experience, I had a direct relative and one of my best friends who wrote me some almost obscene things at the same time. And so I basically placed them both on a group message. And it was interesting for my direct relative and for my great friend, because they got kind of intimidated. Like, why is your direct relative on this thread? And for my relative, why is your friend on this thread? And the reason was because we weren't able to get any answers from either one of them as far as why I received this threatening and demoralizing information. So I put them on the same thread. Boom, they didn't want to communicate anymore, both in those threads or even any further. So on one hand, I had to say goodbye to two relationships, and I didn't say goodbye in a way where it was like, get out of here and never come back. It was more like, hey, I'd like to thank you for all the time we spent. I'd like to let you know how much it meant. And I hope that we can always be friends. And there's no distance that can grow too far if we're going to be able to remain friends. I'm extending an olive branch, but for whatever reason, these relationships came to a maybe they'll be reborn. Maybe they'll live again in the spirit of Easter. I should say it that way. I'm going out of my way to not say certain words, names, for an example, and mostly the names they have to do with the religious structure of everything. Most of you know what I'm talking about when I talk about Easter and who that topic centrally revolves around. And basically, some of us also know that the world does not revolve around ourselves. The world is basically the opportunities that we've been presented among one another to help one another. And that's the rewarding aspect of life. And so if we can go about doing our best to try and help other people to work through their own experiences, then I think that carries its own reward. For me, I've been struggling since leaving the corporate world after having seen so many challenges in nature that I thought I wouldn't have a lot of time to watch or participate in seeing some of the nature that I really wanted to see ever since I was a kid. Some people were born wealthy and they got to travel from the start. They got to see all these different places. Some people were born so poor that they got to travel a lot of different places too, and they got to camp and really rough it. And for me, I got born right in the middle. You know, we didn't have excess, we didn't have too little, we had what we needed. And so I also ended up having a little bit more than I needed. And I was able to get an upstart on trying my best to experience some of these things. And as I've done it, my eyes have been opened in a way where I see that some of these things are just as fleeting as some of our fragile relationships have been. So just in a moment, everything could be gone. And it really pays to be thankful for what it is that we have and to use our time wisely to experience the beauty that is all around us and sometimes inside of us, mostly inside of everyone else. Thank you for all of you for sharing, you know, the beautiful experience that we're sharing here. And I appreciate it. I wouldn't have been able to get through some of these circumstances without your input, without your encouragement, without your assistance. So for those who have done their utmost to help to promote these types of channels, just as an example, that really helps for us to find our intended market, our intended audience. And the audience is really just a friendship. So that's all I'm asking for here. You can look at my description on any of the channels I have. And I'm not selling anything where it's like, I need you to buy this shirt. I need you to buy this formula. I need you to buy. I really don't need anyone to buy anything anymore. I'm hoping that we can all do with a lot less and accomplish everything with a lot less, but with a lot more enthusiasm and a lot more praise for the higher power, you know, that brought us all together to accomplish these things. So I know that we're being separated out in a way, and some people aren't going to ever be on the side of positivity. Some people are always going to be on the side of negativity, and some people are going to be able to integrate the shadow self and to learn to live again. So for everyone who's out there struggling through some kind of circumstance, that's what that song was about. I hope that it resonated. I hope it hit your heart chords in a way that made the heartbeat a little bit more pleasant and friendly. Again, this is a Taylor T5z Pro, and it's in Gaslamp black, and it happens to have a headstock that's a different color. And I really enjoy it. It sounds good. I hope that you thought it sounded great, and I hope that you think I sounded okay. And if you did, don't forget, click the thumbs up. If you didn't, definitely click the thumbs down. No matter what you click, it's going to basically help the algorithm and will place this where it should be. And so if I get enough thumbs down and it places this in a garbage area of the internet, that's fine. There's a lot of work in the garbage industry. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be picked up. And as long as we can find out a way to monetize some of that, I'm down for picking up the trash. What about you guys? So till next time, again, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.